Thank you
Yes.
so much for being here. So let me introduce you. Jeffrey.Clark is the area sales manager at Brooks Mortgage. In this role, Jeffrey leads the company's area lending team, providing guidance for top performers and emerging producers. Jeffrey began his 26-year career in real estate as a loan officer in 1983 at a small neighborhood mortgage company for 6 years, and went on to work at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage as a loan officer and was soon promoted to a branch manager position for 14 years, and has also held positions as an area sales manager at Countrywide, Bank of America, and Chase Home Mortgage. And he now works for Brooks as an area sales manager. He served 6 years active duty and 6 years as a reservist, U.S. Air Force. He joined the Burbank Airport Fire Department as a firefighter and was selected to be a part of the hazardous material team for 3.5 years. After his time as a firefighter with the Burbank Airport Fire Department, his career took a turn and he decided to get into the real estate field as a loan officer in 1993 after being discharged from his second tour in active duty after the Desert Storm War. Devoted to his work, his family, and the community, Jeffrey served on the board of Los Angeles chapter of Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals, assisting the education of and outreach of realtor, loan officers, and veterans. A proud father of two beautiful, they're gorgeous daughters. We have Jeffrey Clark.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's funny just hearing your own bio. It just,
Yeah, you know you like that. You're like,
yeah,
oh,
just,
that's so much.
it's just interesting. Humbling, humbling.
Yes, yes, yes. We're so happy to have you. You're great at what you do. Um, I was actually doing my own research. I created my own bio for you, and it
Oh,
was
did you?
this man. He's the best in his field, is what I learned about you. So, you bragged about yourself just a little bit. You could add a
Mhm.
little more in there.
Both
Yeah.
both Shelby's bio and your bio show that you're a well-rounded man.
Yes, yes,
So
Thank you.
he
Thank
definitely
you.
is. So
Thank you.
tell us, what was your first job?
Well, it's interesting. My first job was actually my first attempt to get a job. I had just graduated from high school. My mom was like, "You're not going to sit in this house and not do anything."
Right.
So I came back about an hour and a half later, and she said, "Didn't I tell you to go get a job?" I said, "Mom, I got a job." I walked into the first place was the gas station, and they hired me. And they said, "You're hired." So I walked back home, and she's like, "Wait a minute, didn't I tell you?" I'm like, "I got the job, Mom." So I thought getting a job is easy. I was like, "Wow, this is simple. I don't know what people are thinking about."
Hey, what did you say to wow them?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe they were desperate. They needed somebody, but I accepted the position.
Right, that's perfect. So, what made you get into finance?
Well, I was a firefighter before. I was also in the U.S. Air Force also, and I thought that was my career. That was what I was going to. That's what I was going to do. Right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I put my life on the line. I've been in situations that most people, of course, run from, and I would run too. But I
mm,
remember being on the truck, and I remember seeing all we called them suits, right? And we were like, they're out having lunch, and they're going home. They're doing all this stuff, and as a firefighter, you work 24 hours on. And
mm,
then if you want to do overtime, you're going to do another 24, 72 hours before you get home. Now,
oh,
72 hours gone from the house is good. But when you're having a relationship
Yeah.
problem, it
mm,
is not good
yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
Fantastic.
So I decided, you know what? I wanted to be able to come in when I want to come in and leave when I want to leave. And that's made me decide I wanted to get into real estate finance.
Mm. Back to like your relationship and stuff, how were you able to balance that out? Well, what advice would you give people who want to balance out their relationship and their job?
Work on trust.
Mm.
Mm,
Mm. I know that's right.
If you don't have trust, you've got nothing.
mm,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got to be trust. And
mm.
trust goes both ways. You
Yeah.
got to be trustworthy, and you've got to trust in your partner.
Mm.
You gotta be reflections of each other, you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm. So how do you feel like we can invest without fear, or telling any young people?
Without fear, you will always have fear.
Okay, okay.
It's moving past your fear that makes a difference.
Mm.
Mm.
Some people have fear and will never do anything. I'm afraid to go out and do something. I'm afraid to go out and invest. I'm afraid to seek knowledge. I'm afraid. Why? Because you're thinking about failure.
Mhm.
Mm.
You're thinking so much about failure, you're not even thinking about success.
Crippling. Mm.
Manage the fear, push through the fear, right? And then think about your opportunities. If it makes sense, move into it. If it doesn't, don't.
Mm.
But you'll make mistakes. It's just learning from those mistakes.
Yes.
It's a big.
So what would you say is the difference between getting rich and building wealth?
You can be rich, right? And not have peace.
Mm.
And when you gain wealth, that's management. That
Mm.
means you're managing, your riches, right?
Mm.
So if being rich is you're going to have all these problems, these issues, the difference is it goes back to what we're talking about, trust. Do the people you work with, or the people whom you're trying to work with, do they believe you,
Mhm.
right? Do they actually think that you're going to perform? Because there's a lot of people out trying to get rich, right? And there's a lot of people who've gotten rich. Some necessarily not the best way to get rich. But when you have wealth in your family, you have wealth in your health, you have wealth in your relationships, and you have wealth within inside your own self. That's what true wealth is. It's not necessarily being rich,
Mm.
being wealthy.
So where would you put yourself in that category? Are you rich or
Working
wealthy?
working on my wealth. I've had a great career in this business.
Mhm.
I'm never run around trying to be rich, right? Never run around trying to be rich, because being rich has its own drawbacks on that. But being wealthy and working on that, I have a wealth of friends. I have a wealth of great relationships. I'm healthy. My kids are, they're beautiful. I'm continuing working on my wealth.
Yes, yes, I definitely love that. So, where you were married before, I do know that about you. You were married.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a prenup? And if you did, do you recommend when you get married, should you get a prenup?
Well, since she wasn't looking for like a basketball star or
Mm.
right, or your Hollywood, wives, right? That wasn't there. So when I got married at that time, I didn't have enough to say, you know what, the prenup.
Mhm.
However, I'm not going to say now if I'm getting with someone, it's like, well, so what are you coming with? Yeah, that would be important to know that. So when you're buying together, or you own together, or you own separate, or you have things, you may want to think about that. Yeah, those are things, and those are something that's individual. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier:
Yeah,
trust.
yeah, yeah.
Got to be able to trust in this person. If I'm walking around with 500 million, and maybe I may think about a prenup.
Do you believe in the expression "work hard, play hard"?
Well, Shelby, you know me.
I thought it was a perfect question for
Yeah,
you.
you know me. That is one thing I will do, is that I will spend time, right? And in our business, the way that I've been trained, they're called recovery days.
Mm.
How many days in a quarter, in a month, that you're spending time recovering? Because you cannot be in a work mode all the time. It's your wealth and your work brings you your pleasure,
Mm,
right? You can't go out on vacation. You can't rent the boat. You can't rent the Airbnb. You can't do that without the finances to do it,
mm,
right? So now you're spending time recovering,
Mm.
and your life is built on experiences. What are you experiencing? Because of my wealth,
mm,
right? So in your remodel day, now your work day, now you have to have a life balance, right? For those people who are self-employed and want to be self-employed and working in your business, you're going to spend a lot of time on your business, right? You're
right.
supposed to be spending more time not working in your business, but working on
Yeah,
your
yeah.
business,
Mm,
right?
right.
And there was a time where I had no work-life balance.
Mm,
I would work and work and work, and I had no time to recover. And I never forget, I had this one real estate agent call me in the office, right? Call me in the office at 11:30 at night. My phone rang. And I'm like, well, who's calling me? Murphy Richardson called me. Murphy Richardson says, Jeff, I know you were in the office. That's why I called you.
wow.
That's when I realized I had no work-life balance,
Mm.
right?
What is some things that you do? Like, what's your balance? You have the work side, so what's your life balance?
Well, I travel, well,
Mhm.
as much as possible now in the pandemic,
Mhm.
but I did go to Martha's Vineyard in
Nice.
the middle of the pandemic, and I went to Puerto Vallarta in the middle of the pandemic. I'm not going to let the fear stop me from being,
Right. That's right.
right. So in between spending time with friends, I've learned a new skill during COVID. That's my culinary skills, my culinary game.
All that.
My culinary game has stepped up. Why? Because now I'm at home, and these are the things that I did before because I spent time dining. And part of my job is, which was really cool as an area manager, is recruiting top talent. And so the company would give you like a card and they want you to go and actually recruit top talent. So I would go to all the nicest places to go eat.
Mm.
And since the pandemic, I said, you know what? I started thinking, you know what? I can start trying to make these things.
Mhm.
And so I started making and started cooking, started exploring. Now I think I think I'm pretty good at it now.
With all your experiences, like, what would you say was your biggest fear? If you still have a fear.
Well, the biggest fear that I always have to conquer is, am I good enough?
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah, am I good enough to go out and talk to this, billionaire? Am I good enough to go out and talk to this person? Am I good enough? You know, you have to think about this. If not you, then who?
mm,
Mm.
Right? You're not doing it, someone else is.
Mm.
Someone else has taken the opportunity that you were too afraid to do, right? I don't know if I'm good enough to do this. I don't know if well, I'll be great at this. And I let fear stop me from being,
mm,
right? And it's always having the conversation with yourself, right? Is conquering your fear. Now, preparation, which is the different, because some people look for opportunities they're not even prepared for,
mhm.
Mm.
right? So once you prepare yourself for those opportunities when they come in, guess what? You're gonna look like a pro because you know what you're talking about, because you did your research and you're prepared to receive it.
Have you ever been in a situation where you weren't prepared?
Yeah, of course. I've been in situations that I wasn't prepared. But for me, I've been doing this so long now. It's when you're prepared, which is I've done all my preparations for being in front of someone,
Mhm,
being in front of someone. In my environment, for what I do is talking to people about their finances, right? And I've done that hundreds and
mhm,
thousands of
Mm.
times. So being in front of someone I am comfortable with because I've been preparing myself for that, right? So that it puts those people that I'm talking to at comfort. And one of the things I've learned is that if I'm not truly prepared for it, I ask questions,
mm,
right? I take my notebook, I take my pen, and I ask questions such as, so what are you looking to do? How do you see this, going for you, right? What do you see the outcome is going to be? And if you ask a question that I'm not prepared for, and I would say, you mind if I take a note on that one because I want to do research to make sure that I answer your question properly.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
in these times right now that we're in, what type of education do you feel like people should be seeking, like during COVID and stuff?
Well, it really depends on themselves, where they see themselves wanting to be. So if I were to ask you, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Right? And people would say, I want to this, I want to have this, I want to be able to buy this, and I want it to do this. Well, then tell me, what do you need to do to get there?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right? What do you need to do to get there? If you're saying, you know what, I want to be able to buy this, I want to be able to own this, I want to be able to be like this, right? What are you prepared to do to educate yourself to be ready for those opportunities when they come into place? I want to work on my PhD. I want to be able to work on, what does that look like? What do you have to do? How do you have to prepare yourself to do that? I want to be able to buy my first house. What do you have to do in order to get there? Right? I want to be able to buy investment property. I want to be able to buy a business. What do you have to do to educate yourself to be prepared for those opportunities when they come up?
You've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what advice are you giving your daughter?
Ever since they're little, they would come to open houses with me all the time, right? And coming into the open house, you're right. We'd come back from church, and I go to open house, but I would only let one in at a time because both of them, and they run into the house, and one would go this way, one would go that way, and so forth. But that was part of my job, going open house. And so my 9-year-old at the time, right, would come into the house. Right now, she's looking at the kitchen. Dad, okay, what do you think about this? Okay, Dad, look, did you see the bathroom? They're 9 years old, right? So part of what I did for them, it was the constant conversation. So I talk to them about, they see a house or they see a car or they see this, and they said, well, Dad, I want to be able to get this. Okay, great. What does it take for you to get there? What do you think that's going to cost? What do you think the payment's going to be? Okay, well, what kind of job do you have to have in order to have that, right? And so we break down the math, right? What did you say you wanted to do? Because my daughter was like, watching all the Disney movies, Little Mermaid, right? And all the Discovery thing. And she says, Dad, I want to be a marine biologist.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, we're good, right? Well, what does it take to be a marine biologist? I don't know, Dad. What do they make? I don't know that. Well, let's do the math, right? And I took them online. They did the math. Okay, your income is going to be here, but your mortgage payment or your rent's going to be here. Do you think you're able? Oh, no, Dad, I won't be able. Well, then you need to make decisions, to get you to that point where it becomes affordable for you.
Mm.
But as parents, we need to be having the constant conversation about what's possible for them,
Mm.
what's possible. Because if you break it down for them, right, and you go by the steps, it makes it easier for them in the future to know what they need to get to.
You have that privilege of having parents that helps you with that.
Yeah, I did. I did. I
Okay.
did. We had. I was fortunate to actually have that conversation, with my father, right? And because they own property and they own rental property. So I grew up like the maintenance man. So we'd have to go over and paint. And that's why I hate painting now. They have to go in plumbing. That's why I hate doing plumbing now. And they have to go fix a roof, and I hate fixing a roof now, right? That was one of the things. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I never forget one day I come into the kitchen and my father had all this money on the table, right? And I was like, Dad, can I get like $20 or can I get this? He looked at me and says, no, son, all this money is for something else. I didn't realize it was for the mortgage payments and all the other bills, right? And then after that, then that's called profit. But I didn't understand that. But I had the concept, and we talked about that, and we talked about other things. I was fortunate to have that conversation.
Nice. Definitely a privilege.
That's good, man. So with all the experience you have and everything, like what do you feel like a lot of people misunderstand the most about money and finances and management?
Um, for the most part, again, it goes back to the education, right? What do you want? Where do you want to be? A lot of people say things. A lot of people make affirmations, right? I want to be, I will have, I will get, right? Not a lot of people actually go out and do the work.
Mm.
They don't do the grind. They don't put things in, right? I've talked to and educated thousands of people about home ownership, right? Buying, property. There are people that I've talked to 25 years ago who never bought anything. So here in the Los Angeles area, 25 years ago, right? You were buying a house for $170,000. That $170,000 house is now worth $1.2 million, right?
Wow.
They lost over $1 million of wealth because they decided not to do something. And then now they're coming in saying, hey, Jeff, I want to be able to buy, but I can't buy in the neighborhood that I want to be able to buy in, right? So I say that to say that it's still never too late, but oftentimes people can't buy what they want to, buy where you can, right? Use that equity position in property to leverage to do other things. And it's getting past your fear, being knowledgeable about it, and then stepping into it and actually doing it.
I like that a lot. What advice do you give for like people who are wanting to buy a home, their first home, I should say?
Do the work, do the research, right? And what does it take to buy a home, right? Does it take any money for down payment?
Mm.
Yes or no? What about closing costs? Is there closing costs? Yes or no, right? So for most cities, most neighborhoods, most states, there are down payment assistance programs. When I bought my first house, it cost me less than $100 to buy the house.
Wow.
Less than $100. But why? Because I used a down payment assistance program to buy the property, right? So the state program covered the money for the down payment. The seller paid all of my closing costs on the property. The amount that I needed to come in with, which was $100, but I have to be able to make the monthly payments on that one. So for some people, they want to be a first-time home buyer. Ask questions. Ask your loan professional, right? Go online and just search down payment assistance, right? It will give you the income that you need to be, it'll tell you that. It'll tell you your geography of where in the area can you use these down payment assistance programs, right? And then how much assistance that they will give you. And then what your monthly payment's going to be.
A lot of the times in the Black and Brown community, like we shy away from that.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna check my credit, they're gonna want this and that, and they don't want to do the work. And so years go by, and that $170,000 house becomes $1 million. So there's not only that fear, but it's something more. I think
Yeah.
I'd say lack of knowledge, to be honest, because you're saying all you got to do is just do the work, the research.
Yes. Well, same thing you said. When you sit down with a loan professional, I'm going to financially undress you. So I'm going to be looking at your credit. I'm going to be looking at your income. I'm going to be looking at your savings. I'm going to be looking at your spending, right? Not everyone's ready to reveal that, right? Not everyone wants the same thing with Black men and doctors and hospitals. Oftentimes in our Black and brown communities, we won't go. Why? Because I don't want to know, right? I don't want to know. I'm afraid. Same thing. That's why it's not necessarily the why African American, Hispanics, and also Asians lack in home ownership. For African Americans, at 48% of the population, right, have own their home. Asian Americans, 49%. Hispanic Americans are at 47%, where white Americans are at 72%. So we lack. And a lot of it is education, right? Not only being educated, but also making the opportunity to do it. For a lot of us in our culture, we didn't have someone to talk to us about home ownership. No one talked to us about wealth. No one talked to us, about that. We can break the trend of just being renters to being owners, to being landlords, to property, to having wealth, right? We can break the trend, but who can break the trend for you? No one can, unless you decide this is what you want to do, right? I can educate you. I can inspire you, right? But if you don't make the decision, it'll never happen. So I've talked to thousands of people who never made that decision to do it and regret it.
Have you ever been able to sway people to change their minds? Like, has there ever been like a family who came back to you, or a couple, or man or a woman, to say, "Hey, man, I listened to you, and I was able to take those steps I was afraid of,"
Yes. What's his name? Jimmy, or I forgot his name. I just happened to be out one day at a local bar, a local establishment, right? Ricky came to me from the other side and he says, "Jeff," I'm like, "You look familiar." He says, "You remember me, right?" And he told me his situation, his properties, right? He said, "You talked me into getting a 15-year loan instead of having a 30-year. He said, "Jeff, I only have 1 year left to make, to pay on this property, and it's free and clear. Had you not talked to me about doing the 15-year term loan, I still would have been having monthly payments that are here, and I still would have interest that are here." So I do see people that are out there. It's like, you know what? Thank you. But I also see a lot of people who were riddled with guilt that I talked to, who didn't make the decision to do it. But they have a nice car, though. They have a nice car. They do. They dress really nice. They do.
But that's it.
Yeah. It's nice people. Nice people.
So a question we had was, how do we develop a champion mindset?
One of the things I think about having a champion mindset is that champions are coached, aren't they? Right? No one can be a champion without coaching. Even the best, the LeBron James, the Venus Williams, that are out there, and these athletes, even though they're superstars in their own right, and you think, wait a minute, I don't need a coach, right? No, you need a coach.
Yeah.
But to have a coach, you have to first be what? Coachable, right? And are you coachable, right? You have to think about that. Put yourself in the mindset to be a champion. You must first learn how the steps, right? No one starts shooting off 3-point shots, right, and have a 46%, average if you're not being coached when you were small and little in your technique. Because a coach can see things in you, right, that can improve. That one little thing can improve. And in golf, right, that one little thing can improve your stroking. Those are millions of dollars, right? because you improved your stroke, right? So we have to look at itself and not someone that's telling me something, but understanding that, you know what, I'm willing to put in the work, but I want to be coached on how to get there.
So it's hard for a lot of people to do that. It's hard for a lot of people to say, you know what, I need help. I don't know. Go.
There aren't a lot of LeBron James out there. There wasn't a whole lot of Kobe Bryants, that are out there. Wasn't a whole lot of Venus Williams or Tiger Woods out there, right? These are people, even though they're top in their business and what they do, but they're wanting that feedback because they have a desire to get better. So even in business, some of the top CEOs, CFOs, right? People are something you're thinking these people are at the pinnacle of their career, but they also have performance and coaches, right? These are the people that inspire. These are the people that ask them, look within and what are they doing in order to get peak performance in their business.
Do you have a coach or a mentor?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I have a great mentor, is really and a great friend. My mentorships are deep. I have some great mentors, but I have to be willing to ask. And I've also paid for professional coaches to sit down with me, right? Because I can't think I know it all.
Right.
It's even talking to you right now is bringing back some of the things my coaches told me, for years.
So what were some things that you learned from your coaches that always stuck with you, or from each of them?
But techniques,
Mhm.
What were some
you know,
about yourself?
some of the techniques is in my business in real estate finance is getting with people, right? Sometimes fear of acceptance. In other words, will they accept me? Will they take advice from me? Will they, do this for me, right? And so part of my techniques is putting myself in position. I'm here to help. My knowledge, my information, all of it, I'm going to help you, right? In my business, the more people I help, the more I get paid. So every day I have to go out and look for people to help. But the authenticity would have to come through. Do you have their best interest in mind? Right? Do you have your customers' best interest in mind? Because your reputation, right? You may get something done, right? You may get that deal, but how's your reputation, right? Your longevity in your business is based upon your reputation. Because a person may come back and like, you know what? I don't want to work that guy. Why? Because I got burnt before, or I heard something about that particular person. Your reputation in your business is, for your longevity, one of the most important things, right? Your mentorship, your circle, your friend, who you associate with, who you work in business with is important, because deals will come, opportunities will be there, but do you have trust in that person, right? And your techniques, being able to explain what your product is, right? Getting them to have an understanding about your product, right? Or your service, right? And then be able to move forward in that, right? Because not everyone is hearing the same thing at the same way, as you have to speak to them so that they can understand. And that's a technique.
So Jeff, what are some steps you think anyone can take towards financial freedom?
Again, be willing to take the risk, right? So financial freedom does not come necessarily from a 9 to 5 and not doing anything, right? Your financial freedom says, okay, I do this, but what do I need to do to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, right? I never forget one of my mentors, the program I was involved in, and it says, write down the top 100 things that you want to do.
Mm.
that you want to do. Being the workaholic, I worked, I didn't do a whole lot. It changed my mindset when I said, because of what I do, these are the things that I want to experience. When I got down to like 23, 28, 30, it was hard to think of things that you want to be able to do. And some of these things are not grandiose, and I want to be able to, some of these things are even just local. I want to be able to go to this museum. I want to be able to go eat here. I want to be able to go horseback riding. I want to be able to go here. These are things, experiences, right? And to me, the one that's got the most experiences in life before they go wins, right? So what experiences do you want to do, have, or be? Think about those things. Put it down on paper. I came back to that one years later. I have one I was just looking at right now. And I was like, wow, I accomplished nearly 80% of the things that I had on, nearly 80% of the things that I put on paper. And it was like 10, 15 years. I did all of those things. I did all of those things. And it's putting it in your mind, putting it on paper, and going to experience those things.
What's your new bucket list looking like now?
Actually, my bucket list now is learning to say no.
Ooh, okay. Wasn't expecting that.
That's been my biggest lesson.
Yeah, learning to say no, because no keeps me on track, right? Because there's so many people that want your attention, right? So many friends, so many families, so many associates what are saying, let's do this. Jeff, let's go here. Jeff, let's do this. Jeff, because they know I'm adventurous and I want to go experience those things. But those things keep me off track from getting the wealth or the things that I want to be able to do, right? They're going to take up my time. To give an example, friends, they're like, Jeff, let's go to lunch. And we're going to meet down in Marina Del Rey or in Santa Monica or something like that. I know what lunch means for them is the next 3 hours. I'm going to be having something to eat and something to drink. And versus working on that project, that paper, that loan, that I'm supposed to be getting out, right? I allow them to get me off track. So learning the disciplines of no, right? No, I can't do this unless I take care of what I'm supposed to take care of.
Is that when you realize that, you needed to start saying no?
Yes. Yeah, I have to start saying no, right? Because I remember when I first got into this business, and you set goals. It's like I wanted to be the most popular loan officer, in my market. I want everybody to know me, right? And I set about. I did. I went to every networking event, every real estate office. I went there. I did that. Everybody knows me, right? What I should have said, I want to be the wealthiest loan officer out here, and then went about to do that, because being popular does not necessarily mean wealthy. So being popular, that means now people are like, hey, Jeff, come hang out with us. Jeff, come do this with us. Jeff, let's go here. Jeff, we're traveling. We're going to Cabo. We're going here. We're doing this. Let's go. And I'm like, whoa, I still need to work on my business. I can't let you take me off track. So I have to learn how to say no.
So, Jeff, what would you say are some hacks to getting loans approved?
Say that part again.
What would you say are some hacks or some what's the other word for hacks? Like what have you seen that helped others get loans approved?
Get loan approved. Okay. I'm going to speak for personal experience. And I've worked with, right, and I've coached, and I've hired, and fortunately fired hundreds of loan officers.
Wow.
Hundreds of loan officers, right? And we talk about approval, and we talk about getting your loan, closed. Not every loan officer knows the products, knows the service, and knows how to get things through, right? Being a loan professional, I consider we're almost like loan lawyers, right? The underwriter is our judge, right? You've got to be able to convince the judge why this is an approvable loan. Why take a risk on these customers versus that customer? Every loan is a puzzle. You have your basic parts. I need your income. I need your assets. I need to take a look at your credit. I need this, right? But you also have to sit down and figure out how to put everything together. Not every loan officer, right? For the most part, processors or even underwriters, right, that you work with are top in their class. And you've got to be able to get with a team of people who know what they're doing, have your best interests, have the expertise to get it done. But the same thing I talked about before, your mentorship, that loan officer needs to have that manager or that regional manager, or that can actually say, you know what, let me coach you through this problem, right? I cannot tell you how many times I've had loan officers bring that file into the office, and we're going to sit down and we're going to comb through this, and we're going to figure out a way to get this loan closed, right? But as a consumer, you need to fit the basics. The minimum FICO score, what is that in, right? What are the assets need to be in order to buy this one, right? What's your debt to income ratio going to be? Is there things I have to take off on here? I've had some derogatory items on here. How do I get past that? What do I need to do to get past that one? So getting with your team that knows what they're doing, that's how you get your loans closed.
Mm. Have you gotten loans approved for people who filed for bankruptcy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So say for example, FHA, yeah, right? FHA, you can actually, it's really 2 years, but 1 year with extenuating circumstances, BK. And you can still be in bankruptcy and still be able to qualify to buy, say, a home with FHA. But you would have to get the judge's approval to do that. A lot of people don't know that, right? Give an example. So if we're looking at a standard Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac conventional loan, they're asking 4 years, for that. But what if you don't have 4 years? Well, there's programs where you're putting a large amount as a down payment, even though I had this bankruptcy yesterday, right? All right, and it's just been discharged. Can you still buy a property? You can. A lot of people don't know that, but you can still buy property. Talk with a loan professional, know what the guidelines are, and to be able to get it done.
And do you have some tips on how to improve your credit? Everybody's going to want to know the answer to this.
Yeah, okay, the first tip, pay your bills. Just saying, first tip. Secondly, eliminate your department store cards. The department store cards, right? Every time I would go into Macy's or Nordstrom's, and they'd ask you, well, you'll get 10% off of your purchase if you use our Nordstrom card or Macy's card or whatever store card. And I always look at them and I said, so you want to lower my FICO score? Is that what you want to do? Well, they don't know. They've just been told as a cashier just to present this out there. But department store cards, yes. If you have a Visa card that's at a lower interest rate, why are you using your department store card to buy the same item? Secondly, is don't buy something you want. Buy something you need, right? Because I have a whole lot of wants, but you let your wants get you your debt to income ratio too high. Let me give an example. I want to continue to buy things and pay this off or do this, right? But I have a card that its credit limit is $1,000. I owe $990 on that card. You've leveraged that card to over 99%, right? Your card should be at 33% and below, 33 and below, right? So you should only on that 1,000 card $333, right? So that means now you have more available credit. You're higher risk when you have, you're at the max of your trade line on that one. The biggest trick is call that credit card company and ask them to raise your credit limit to 2,000 or even 3,000. So then now immediately your leverage on that card is a third. That's or pay it off, or to pay it off. If you had derogatory items that are on there, check your credit report. You can still challenge those things and see about getting those things removed, from your credit card, right? And then again, ask your loan professional, what's the bare minimum that take for me to get into this? Because you may think you need an 800 FICO score to get there, right? No, you may need 720 or 680, even 660 or even 620 in order to get there. So I have people who said, you know what, I'm gonna wait, get my credit together. I want an 800 FICO score when I come into you, right? In order to do this. There is no difference for the interest rate for someone who's what, an 800 FICO score versus someone that's 720 FICO score. 720 and above, you're going to get the top interest rate or the best interest rate on that one, right? But the opportunity for them to buy, or they waited a year. Guess what happened to property value in a year? It went up 3%, 4%, 10%. So by them waiting, they lost money. Got a better interest rate, better call, but they're spending more for it. But managing your credit is a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly thing in order to get, right?
I know you're probably familiar with the Dave Ramsey. He has a show, he's well known for finance and stuff. And he always tells people,
So you want me to yell out, I'm debt free? Is that what you want me? Because if you listen to Dave Ramsey's show or watch Dave Ramsey's show, when he pays off the mortgage or pays off a car, I'm debt free.
Yeah, because he doesn't believe in debt at all. He doesn't believe in credit cards. So what do you say to the Dave?
I don't, because of that, I don't really use credit cards. I can tell you the time that I used credit cards and I got up to $80,000. $80,000 in credit card debt.
Oh no.
I can tell you all about that.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to pay that off?
I can tell you years, but I had to start chunking down and I get rid of, all my cards, on that.
Can I ask what made you get that? Was it like an investment? Was it an opportunity? Like what was going on? What was your mindset back then?
I let my wants trump my needs.
Like you mentioned.
Right? I left there. How many more shoes do I need? Right? Because I want people to look at like that's a new shoe. That looks really good. Right? It's a new jacket. That's a new shirt. That's new shoes. That's don't let your needs. It's gonna be your wants to trump your needs. Right? Take care of your needs. And work on those wants. Right? Be able to walk into the store and walk out with nothing.
Exactly.
Right? Because they're going to say that you got the best bag. That's great. You got that, right? You got the best shirt, best watch. You got the best this. That looks really good. If you can't afford it, do it. When I buy something now, I use cash. I use my debit card. I don't use my credit card. I don't use credit card because I can tell you about a whole lot of wants got me in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Right? So just work on your needs. right? Do I need to have that? Do I need to have another stuff? But if you set aside monies for my wants, right? I set aside my want money, right? Take care of my needs, put money aside for my wants, right? And then out of my wants account, now I can go spend it for this, right? But don't spend your need money on your wants, right? And think, well, I can credit cards, I can spread it out over the years. It's credit card companies do that for a purpose. They want you to spend money on your wants and not your needs.
Whew. Big business.
So Jeff, what would you say was the most fun you've had working in finance?
I have fun every day. I have fun I have fun. I have fun. It's frustrating. Let me tell you, it is frustrating. It is hard. It is hard. I deal with stress. I deal with this. It's fun. So you find something you enjoy doing, all the time, every day. It's not going to be that hard because you enjoy meeting with people. The paperwork and all of that, that's not too fun. But because of what I've done over the years and networking and meeting with families, you get invited, to the barbecue because you helped them to buy the house, right? Or to refinance it. Someone calls, hey, call my guy Jeff, right? Or helping the realtor or doing a presentation or going out. That's fun, right? And because I did work all day, and then when work was over, I'm gonna go find some place to eat, maybe some place to drink, or some other experience. And because it's fun because of that.
Nice. So what's some advice that you can give to our Black and brown people?
Advice about what?
About finance.
Yeah, I can give a whole lot of advice, but what specifically advice would you want to say?
For me, I feel like the biggest thing that holds us back is finances. We spend, but we don't hold on to our money. And of course, there's a lot of history that goes into that. So what advice would you give for
Ch-
this specific?
change your mindset, change your life. Change your mindset.
So Jeff, let's say you bump into somebody who reminds you of your 22-year-old self. Like, what are some 5 things that you probably would tell them? Like, if you bumped into someone who reminded you of your 21, 22-year-old self.
I hate to sound like that, but when I was 22, 23, 20, I was hustling. I was in the fire department. I did a lot of overtime, right? And I'm, doing I was doing 6 figures, back then. I hustled. That's what I wanted to do. At 26, again, we talked about that later. It's like I wished I worked more on my wealth than I did just being, popular on that. Is setting goals and then resetting goals. One of the tours worked on me. It's like, are you meeting with yourself quarterly to see if you're on track?
Meeting with yourself quarterly. I like that.
Yeah. Are you setting down specific measurable steps in order to get there, right? Because at the top of the year, we all make affirmations, don't we? We all make affirmations. This year, right? I'm going to do this. Same thing with working out, right? I set aside a plan. This is what I'm going to do. Not many people put it on paper. Write down your goals, right? It's a Bible verse, Habakkuk, I think it's Habakkuk 2:3 or something. It says, write your vision down. If you write your vision down, right, even though you can't do it, maybe someone sees it and helps you to get there. Because you're supposed to enroll people in your vision.
Mm.
Mm.
People have specific roles in your vision. Some people can help you create it. Some people can help you motivate. Some people can refer you to other people to help you with your goals. So my advice would be is to write it down, visit with yourself quarterly, forgive yourself all the time. Forgive yourself all the time, right? Because you're going to have to do that because guess what? You're going to fail. Don't feel like a failure because you fail. Figure out how to get back up and actually do it. So you're going to have to forgive yourself for not doing it. And lastly is reward yourself for doing it.
Mm. Yes.
That is Jeffrey
Love
Clark, ladies and gentlemen. That was
Yes,
amazing. Thank you so much for this. You know,
no
like
problem.
so much from just hearing your experience. You know, there's a lot I don't know about you. We've known each other for years, but like these questions open up another part of you. So I'm grateful for this opportunity. Seriously.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've known each other for years. But I'm not going to go around preaching to everybody of what I do. What you should do this, young man, young lady. You should. When I was your age, I did all of this stuff like that. No, being authentic and being with people is that you know what, Jeff. I understand that you've done this. But, advise me.
Mm.
You know, how can you help me? Right. And we all have that. I like being with people who are genuine.
Mhm.
Right. And then having the knowledge of knowing that I have someone I can call and who will get back to me because they're like, Jeff, you're a straight up dude. Right. I like you. And they'll get back to me. Who's going to refer you to someone to answer your question if they don't believe and trust in you?
Mhm.
You're like, well, I would refer you to my boy, my friend, but I don't really trust you, like, right? So be that person you want to be,
Mhm.
right? And be that resource that you want to be, but being able to reach out to other people and just be friendly with them. They're more apt to help you out.
Great. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yeah, Jeff, we
you.
definitely want you back, man, for future episodes because
Yes.
you didn't even touch real estate like that,
Oh,
but you know so
yeah.
much, man, and we definitely appreciate you just even sharing your time with us because this was
Okay.
an episode.
You know what? Thank you, Shelby, for asking and saying, you know what, I trust you enough I want to talk to you about this. I appreciate that. And I took the time out to make sure that I'm going to share with you. I even put on a jacket today. It actually still fits. It still fits.
Very sharp, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. You have a good one, Jeff.
I will. I got yard work that I got to go get done today. Okay. All right. Talk to you later.